For the last century in America, there's been a passenger train that runs every single day between Chicago, Illinois and Washington, D.C. The train is known as the Capital Limited. It was first introduced in 1923 by the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad as an attempt to compete with other railroads like the New York Central and the Pennsy. The Capital Limited, or just the Cap as it was nicknamed, competed with other already huge names like the Broadway Limited, for example. But there was one thing ever preventing it from besting them, and that was the steep grades of the Allegheny Mountains along its route, which was a big issue in regards to travel times. The B&O would somewhat make up for this shortcoming with quality hospitality that was best in class for that time. In the beginning, the Capital Limited actually originated in New York City, traveling south to Baltimore and Washington, D.C. From there, it would turn west for points such as Martinsburg, Cumberland, Sandpatch, Pittsburgh, Youngstown, Akron, Garrett, La Paz, and Gary, before entering Chicago. In 1958, the Capital Limited just couldn't compete with the other railroads, so service was cut to Baltimore's Camden Station, but it kept the same high-class hospitality which made it the B&O's flagship train. This would be the way it ran for the next 13 years thereafter. Just 2 days before Amtrak's inception in 1971, on April 29th, the train would depart Baltimore for the last time, as did many other passenger services in this day and age due to declining ridership and competition from roads, trucks, highways, and airways. It wouldn't be until 10 years later, in 1981, that Amtrak would bring back the Capital Limited between Chicago and D.C. Now, eastbound Train 30 would come out of Chicago at 6:40 p.m. every night and follow the ex-New York Central water level route to Cleveland via Elkhart, Toledo, and Sandusky, turn south on the ex-C&P to Alliance, then back east on the ex-PFW&C to Pittsburgh. East of Pittsburgh, the Cap uses the Allegheny Valley Railroad Sheenley Tunnel to hook CSX's Pittsburgh and Keystone subdivisions. And now it's back on home rails for the rest of the trip to DC. Westbound 29 would do pretty much the same thing, just backwards. So that's kind of a basic overview on what the Capital Limited is. Now I'd like to get into the bread and butter of today's video. You see, back in September, Amtrak officially announced that it would be launching a new service called the Floridian. The Floridian came as a result of combining the Capital Limited with another service, the Silver Star. Now, what on God's green earth could have possibly possessed Amtrak to do something as drastic as this? Well, the decades-old superliner equipment used on the Cap was in dire need of refurbishing and repositioning, so they combined it with the Silver Star and are using its consist of Amfleets and Viewliners on the new route. The new train still follows the old schedules of both the Cap and the Star, leaving Chicago eastbound at 6:40 p.m. and Miami northbound at 11:05 a.m. That Miami departure is actually 35 minutes earlier than the original. It'll follow the Capital Limited's route between Chicago and Washington, D.C., then turn south onto the Star's route from D.C. to Miami via Raleigh, North Carolina and Columbia, South Carolina, vice versa for the return trip. Another excuse for the Floridian's existence is the East River Tunnel Rehabilitation Project in New York. Construction is finally beginning on the 4 century-old tubes of the East River Tunnel to rebuild them, enhance their safety, and extend their useful service lives on the Northeast Corridor. Now, I must tell you that the Floridian is not a permanent train, at least for now. It's only expected to run until March 6th of 2025, around when most of the tunnel construction is projected to be complete. We'll see about that. Now, there is speculation amongst rail fans that the Floridian may become a permanent fixture. However, that is only speculation. Always, always, always check your sources. For the most accurate updates on this situation, Amtrak's site is probably the best place to go.
Norfolk Southern milepost 79.8. Track 1, no defects.
The Floridian began service on November 10th of 2024 to a great deal of fanfare. I haven't seen the new train yet, but I did manage to capture some of the last Capital Limiteds before they ceased to exist. In early July of this year, there were two occasions where mechanical issues in Chicago created extensive delays for eastbound Train 30. The delays resulted in the cap being over 5.5 hours behind schedule on both instances, which in themselves were just days apart, way unusual. This meant that the Capital Limited, usually a dark shadow passing through in the middle of the night, would be a daylight run east of Cleveland. I'm set up at Ellet Road in Beloit at milepost PC 77 on Norfolk Southern's Fort Wayne line. Amtrak 30 is throttled up as it heads east out of its Alliance Station stop at around 7:45 in the morning, a colossal difference from its scheduled 3:05 a.m. stop. That first instance in Beloit was shot on July 6th of 2024. The second one happened 4 days later on the 10th, and this time I would be in Alliance to watch it service the station.
Amtrak 30, got a limited clear Alliance, 2 to 1 east, arriving Alliance. Limited clear, over. Amtrak 30, head in, sir. Looks like we're staying on 1 for a while.
The last piece of footage I have was actually captured by my good friend Tristan Holland, also in Alliance. This is westbound train 29 departing the station on time this time with a new ALC 42 Charger locomotive. This would be the second to last Capital Limited to run before the Floridian would take over.
My old friend said to me that I ain't being what I'm supposed to be. Well, I don't know, could be true. I know I wasn't always there for you. And now you're ready to walk out, you're ready to run. Talk to me, can't you see? I would never want to do what it seems I've done. You can't deal me the aces and think I wouldn't play. Don't let this be the reason you would walk away. The things you think I should do, I've never understood that part of you. You know I've tried